Go ahead.
Bonjour et bienvenue pour une autre discussion sur le tennis 5K. In case you didn't understand anything I was saying, and maybe I didn't as well, I said hello and welcome to another 5K tennis discussion.
I thought that was a valiant effort. Today is Thursday.
In Spanish, it would have been easier, Justin.
All right, we'll say it in Spanish.
No, I can't.
Come on.
I would have to think about it.
All right, we'll think about it.
Bienvenidos a otra discusión de 5K tenis, I guess.
Today is Thursday, June the 6th, 2019, and we are here for show number 87, and in Spanish that would be... In Spanish, 87.
87.
Come on over there, Carla. Let's go. Let's get it going.
I'm sleeping like Zverev and Khachanov were in their matches today.
I think she's going to be just fine. All right, it is day 12 of the French Open, and all the semifinals are set. It's actually kind of like day 11, but the rain made it day 12, and we are on day 11 type news.
Right.
It seems like it was a very short day of tennis matches. We had 4 matches, and all of them were fairly quick.
Yeah, the men's match was pretty lopsided. In our opinion, they went by pretty quickly. Both lasted just 3 sets. And the women's, well, we had a big upset. Last year's French Open champion went down to the 17-year-old Amanda Anisimova from the USA. My pick.
Everyone that picked Anisimova on their fantasy teams, great pick. I never would have guessed it, just like I never would have guessed Konta, or I never would have guessed Vondrousova, and I don't think I would have guessed. I had Barty on my fantasy team, but I wouldn't have guessed she was going to make a final. So,
new French Open champion.
New French Open champion.
None of us would have. I don't think anyone in their bracket, anywhere in the world that plays these fantasy group things. I think Tennis Channel does one. I don't think anyone had these women going that far. Maybe they picked them, but not going this far.
I agree totally. It seems like it's been a short day of tennis in a way. It's been a very long day for Carla and I. We had the opportunity to get up at 3:30 this morning and film a thunderstorm that I know Carla likes a lot. I always drag her out of bed when I see a thunderstorm coming so I can film the thunderstorm. So,
well, this one was loud. I think it shook the whole house, actually.
Yeah, it was a wicked thunderstorm. All right, moving forward, let's jump right into the French Open. The matches were abbreviated today. There's not, I think, too much to get into in terms of the matches, but there's a lot to get into in terms of topics that some of you have for us to talk about, and we're going to address 2 of those. I have a topic that involves a different sport altogether. So let's just jump right in. Let's get down and dirty. Let's go. Come on. All right, real quickly, before I turn it over to Carla, she's done a lot of work today on her parts. I look forward to discussing what she's been working on. I'm blind to a lot of it. We have taken feedback that Carla should talk more, and I've always agreed with that. And she's going to try to shake off those little nervous tics that she gets, even though there's like no one here but her and I, and there's just a camera there. So there really shouldn't be any stress, I'm guessing. Hopefully not, but we'll see how this pans out. Real quickly, an update on the fantasy team YTEX string giveaway, or the YTEX shirt that you can choose,
or 5K
or the 5K tennis shirt. It looks like at this point that Kasper, aka Dedseville in Poland, has won his 3rd straight prize in a row. I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty confident. I've checked everything. He has more players than everybody and has the same players that everyone else has, plus some. So it looks like he's ran away with it, but we'll wait till Sunday and make sure that we add everything up and announce a final score.
What about the other competition? Who had the most points of Clay season?
Thank you for bringing that up. We had another bet since the beginning.
Not another bet, but
a competition. Thank you. Since prior to the clay season beginning as a whole, that you all could guess the clay court player that would accumulate the most points on clay, but it could not have been Rafael Nadal. I'm pretty sure that whoever chose Djokovic will win, I would think, but we'll have to look at it because the smaller tournaments add up on clay as well. So it's a total point accumulation throughout the clay court season.
I think it was between, if I'm not mistaken, Duchamp and Kasper, and I think Duchamp got that one because I think Kasper went for Nishikori and he made a quarterfinal. Correct?
Very possibly. We'll have to look it up. A lot of the viewers don't play the fantasy or prize giveaway game, so I won't dwell too much on it. I think some of you have asked us to put timestamps on different topics, so I'll try to write down a number and put it in description.
Someone sent me a video link, and I'll look at it before we do this.
Yeah, so we'll try to figure it out. So pushing forward, the tennis racket, the Wilson Burn 100S countervail was not won. Everyone that submitted their finalists and their winners has all lost on the women's side. So this racket will be in the same type of giveaway for Wimbledon. So be ready to do some research on your favorite grass players, their rankings, because we are going to do the same thing for the same racket here starting grass season, which is next week, culminating with Wimbledon. All right. Anyway, so let's jump into Carla's first topic. I'm looking forward to this. I think she has one or two viewer topics. You guys ready?
Yeah. Okay, so I had a topic brought up by Peter Dijkstra I think he's from Sweden. He said, there's actually a topic I would love if you could discuss, and it is Serena Williams. Why do you think she's so hated in Europe and loved in the USA? I think she's the greatest woman of all time player, but I don't really like watching her as her personality is so negative. I know in America you guys really idolize her, but except for her being an American, it's hard to understand why. Could you explain why the difference is so big on how Europeans or Americans look at her? Well, what I can say is I remember when I was a kid, probably the reason why Americans know her more is because we got to see Serena and Venus when they were just 7 and 8 years old. The first time that I think they had him like on 60 Minutes, we got to meet Richard Williams and the Williams sisters, and got to see two little girls that look very strong, athletic, something we've never seen before. They had these beads in their hair. I mean, they were fun to watch. Later on, as they were like 12, 13, they became one of the youngest to be sponsored by Reebok. I personally got to meet them at the US Open when I was doing my tryouts to be sponsored for the Reebok team. And they were like any other kid. They were fun and they were outgoing. They were nice.
Spunky, energetic.
They were energetic. I mean, you kind of were attracted by their personality. I mean, they just made tennis look different. We were used to seeing everybody dressed in a certain way. Back when I was a kid, everyone behaved a certain way. You weren't used to seeing minorities, and I hate to say that, play tennis. So they made tennis more attainable for those that never thought of playing tennis. I mean, as they came into the tour, we saw them dominate. You know, a lot of Europeans probably don't know where they come from. They came from. She was born in Michigan, Serena was, but they moved to Compton, which was a rough neighborhood in those times. Her father, even the sister, say that a lot of times they were practicing and they would hear, you know, guns coming. You know, I guess gang. How would you relate that? Gang shootouts or?
Well, just a quick interruption because you asked me to do so. Great so far, everybody. Let's go, Carla. Come on. Let's go. I like this. So here, this is a really great topic, by the way, from Peter in Sweden. Yes. How I would characterize Compton, and I'm a California kid and from the southern part. Born in San Francisco, but moved south very young. Compton at one point in time was and still is in certain, I guess, pockets a tough neighborhood. However, it is much nicer now than I can assure you that it was when these young ladies were playing on courts there. And by the way, another thing from a coaching perspective, one of the reasons why I was always fond of Serena and Venus from the early onset was I had a lot of respect for the father. Now, I don't want to get into personal stuff because, again, this is sports and I don't involve personal lives with anything in sports unless it's something like something crazy. We discussed this before, you know, rape or murder or something like that. But, you know, people are human beings and we make mistakes, so I don't even want to go there. But anyway, as a coach, Carla and I are both those, and I find that any parent of their own children that can go out and teach their children deserves a standing ovation first and foremost. Teaching,
and he's a self-made coach. He actually learned how to teach them by reading books, watching videos. Him and his wife actually, Orsi, which I've met later on in my life. I met them because we used to go to their house a lot with my ex-coach. He taught himself.
And that was in Florida.
That was in Florida. This was when they're starting to get into the tour. But he taught himself, and he taught these girls how to play the game. And he had in his head that he was going to make them champions, and which he did. And we never had, the last American player that we had on the women's side, if you think about it, was Jennifer Capriati and Lindsay Davenport. Those are the last ones before Chris Evert. And then we got to see Serena and Venus. So why wouldn't the Americans fall in love with these girls and idolize them? A lot of kids idolize them. Can you imagine playing tennis and coming from Compton?
Yeah, the idolization of Chris Evert when I was a boy was immense. She won the French Open 7 times.
Correct.
Then there was a lull in a sense. You had Davenport come out of the University of Florida and made a lot of noise. But when Venus finally won Wimbledon as a 17-year-old,
yeah.
it was quite a deal. And then the whole storybook behind her winning 5 Wimbledons, and then finally her sister comes up and wins. And then it becomes almost like a household thing where tennis was fading away with the likes of Sampras falling away.
Capriati was leaving the tour soon.
So
right?
yeah, so I forget who it was the other day, and maybe it was you, Carla, that indicated if it wasn't for Serena, where would American tennis be? For me, at least after Sampras, a lot of us in the U.S. were not Andy Roddick fans at all. Jerky game, all he had was a serve, in my opinion, and I'm not going to get into that. But Roddick was an American tennis player, even though I think at one point. He was one in the world, I think, just after or just before.
He won the U.S. Open.
He won the U.S. Open.
He spent a brief moment, number one. But you're right. Where would American tennis be without these sisters? Nowhere.
Yes.
Because we don't have any American players. Now we're starting to get some, but we haven't had any in a long time.
Yeah, and post that, I think the question was also talking or asked why we thought that maybe in Europe she was more frowned upon than liked in a sense. Let me remind everyone that there are fans that like one sports team and dislike another sports team in every sport, no matter if it's soccer in Europe, and some people here don't like Real Madrid, and some people like Barcelona. It just depends, really. I find that a lot of this, though, has to do with the creation of a global fast internet, social media, etc. Serena and Venus were playing and winning tournaments on the front page of newspapers as we were growing up. We had to wait a day to get the news because the local news here wouldn't cover it. So we would get the USA Today, if you all remember that, in paper form 2 days later, and we read about these things because there was no instant news in your hand. So I think that the latter part of Serena and Venus's careers have been easily attainable on your common smartphone or your media outlet that's attainable in your pocket. But for a long time here in the United States, that's all there was, if there was tennis coverage, was these two. And it was always them there and winning. So I don't think that it's a sense of why do people overseas maybe care for the Williams sisters less and people here more. I think it was just more attainable information for longer, which caused you to want to follow them.
Right, and also too, they attracted a different class of people that would never probably ever look at tennis, but because of them, now they were interested in the sport. You had more kids. I remember when I lived in New York, a lot more kids were joining these programs because they wanted to be like these sisters. They're like, wow, we've got a chance. Before that, I used to go to school and kids used to be like, who is Monica Seles? Who's Steffi Graf? They had no clue when I played tennis.
Can anyone name other athletes in your respective places in your own countries that maybe you have in your homes as a household name that you followed for decades, where maybe we just here in the United States found out about their dominance before the expiration of their careers? Skiing, bobsledding, ice skating,
soccer. We don't know a lot of people that are in soccer.
Cricket, rugby. So this is just a common example, and we are here as one global family on this show, and that's why we do this, because hey, there is no barriers here with us, and I think it's a positive thing to have these type of discussions, and I love this topic from Peter Dijkstra. Real quickly, back to Serena Williams' father, Richard. the reason why I have so much respect for this guy, getting personal stuff, is out of here. I'm talking coaching and teaching his own children. We have 5 children, all of which play. We take them out nearly daily, but I can, and I'm saying, I'm not even going to exaggerate. I would say 320 days out of 365 days, they're on court. With us, watching lessons, helping us with lessons, playing in some way, shape, or form, or being drilled in of themselves. And I can promise you that 8 times out of 10, it's not fun. Sometimes you know the kids are rebelling because we're mom and dad. But for someone to bring their own children to that level, to me, is humbling in of itself.
It is. You have to admire it.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a coach and you have your own children that play, and you know how difficult it is because they never want to listen. Oh, I can do this better than you, or it resonates with me as a parent. And we have a 16-year-old son, a 14-year-old, a 10-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 3-year-old. So there's a lot of years that we can kind of resonate with this whole deal. And maybe elsewhere, because maybe on other continents or across seas or oceans, that maybe this information isn't up point blank and right in front of your eyes in the last 10 years, because we knew about this 20 years ago. Furthermore, I think Serena Williams just made the Forbes list of being in the top 100 of the richest females in the world. So I don't think that she became one of the richest females in the world if she wasn't a master class champion. And a lot of these outbursts she has had have come at the wrong time, and for all the wrong reasons. So again, we know she can make outbursts, but I think these outbursts have outweighed the media you have seen potentially a long ways away, because you might have missed the everyday action for her first 15 years and just caught the last 5.
And a lot of people forget that she's gone through a lot of, her and her sister have gone through a lot of personal stuff. They've stopped playing juniors tennis for a big reason that I don't even want to say, and then they decided to play pro tour. So they've been through a lot, and sometimes people act that way when they're pushed to the limit, and they shouldn't act that way. I disagree, they shouldn't act that way, but it happens. I don't think we've seen that from Venus. We've seen that from Serena.
And let's be real here, always staying positive, but just think objectively for a second. We live in a very difficult world. We won't get into any type of isms or beliefs that are preposterous in this world in which we live, but nonetheless, we live in a world that has its issues on all different levels. And surely she is a victim of some of that as well, and I won't get into that, but I'm sure you can read in between the lines.
Yes.
But in 2019, especially in this sport, it's not what tennis is about. It's just not.
And going back to that, the question that he asked, well, the same question could be asked, why probably in Europe they love Djokovic more than in the USA? It probably might be the same thing, difference. Because we don't know him as well. I've had to have many of you guys send me articles about him for me to learn about him, and then say, you know what, the guy's actually not bad. It's not what I saw when they showed him at the Arthur Ashe, the kids' day. Wasn't too fond of him, but little by little I end up liking him more. And it's all because we don't know much about Djokovic. Same thing with Serena for you guys.
Yeah, no, I agree with Carla. I didn't think about it like that, kind of reciprocated flip-flop. That's a great point. I started, and this is a good point, and I don't think we've ever discussed this as a husband and wife, but one of the early reasons that I started liking Djokovic a long time ago. Number one is I had an opportunity, and I've said this before, to watch him play Federer at the 2007 U.S. Open final, but I still wasn't a huge Djokovic fan at that point in time. Shortly after that match, and I think it was maybe a week or two later, I was in Rutland, Vermont. That's where we lived, and I came across an article on the very early onsets of social media, and it had to do with Novak Djokovic. I read an article that the likes of Novak Djokovic, I think it was Helena Jankovic, as well as Ana Ivanovic, and a lot of others, were taking groundstroke practice, playing in bombed-out swimming pools after the war. As we know, this is a war-torn part of the world. We won't get into geopolitics here as well, but we're very aware of the brutal war that I don't want to go there, that took place there in Kosovo, Serbia, and the whole Balkans area. And for people to rise from the ashes literally and take ground stroke practice in the bombed out swimming pool shows resilience, shows strength, shows courage, shows attitude, and shows a championship upbringing. And I think it's commendable. But let's squash this topic. We can go on forever, but I think there's a lot of truth in what she just said, and I think what you just said just sums up the whole thing. I think there's a lot of things that people, the globe per se, may get, and certain others may not, and therefore we just don't understand. Isn't this why battles are fought in the first place?
Yeah.
Isn't that the beauty of the game of tennis? So we can carry out who's better or worse on a tennis court, and no one has to get their leg blown off, right? Great topic. One of the best ones we've had in a while. Thank you, Peter, for that one. Let's move forward. Topic number 2 came from Carteri, I think you said, Carla?
Yes.
And what is that topic?
He said, I heard Federer's interview right after beating Wawrinka, and he talked about how Nadal, being a left-hander, has played out as a disadvantage for Roger. Really? It's not that it's a left-hand Roger, it's clay. No excuses here. Give Nadal credit. You could tell that this is a sensitive subject with Federer, and that's only because he has never beaten Nadal in Roland Garros, and I suspect that he never will, in spite of being called the GOAT by some people. In my estimation, one of the main qualifications of the GOAT is that you need to beat Nadal in Roland Garros, period. Well, I mean, yes, there are no excuses. You are absolutely right, Carteri. But like I told you, and I think a few people told you in that message, it is more difficult to play a left-handed player, especially for a one-handed backhand player.
Look,
especially because the balls come higher. And Nadal is the type of player that when you're hitting to him, well, you're hitting to his forehand side, thinking you're hitting to his backhand side. And as we all know, his forehand has a lot of spin. So now a one-handed backhand player has to play from up here, which becomes really tough. And when you hit that shot back, well, now it's not a strong shot. It's more of a defense shot.
Yeah, so she said it pretty well. Carla hits a two-handed backhand, but she can play both, so she gets it. I've never put a second hand on my racket in my life unless I'm trying to flick something off the ground, something got behind me, and I need a little bit of extra oomph to get it, hopefully, back over the net. Let me explain this. So Carteri's question or statement was, it's not an excuse, you got to beat him on clay. Well, yes and no on that one, and that's not my explanation, but I mean, Nadal has 11 French Opens. If you take those away, he's in the same conversation of not even on Agassi's level. And look, I'm just going to leave it at that because we've discussed...
Well, he would be a little bit better than Murray and Wawrinka. He would have like what? He's got like 2 U.S. Opens.
He's got 17, so if you took away 11, he'd have 6.
Yeah.
6
so
total.
He wouldn't even be an Agassi.
Yeah, anyway, I don't even want to talk about that because we've talked about it a million times, and so do a million other journalists every day, the GOAT thing. We retired that long ago.
Well, remember also Federer has beaten him in other surfaces, but clay is the toughest because that ball skips. Roger
Federer, by the way, has won the last 5 matchups between the two, if I remember correctly, none of which on clay. Anyway, back to his subject. It is a valid excuse. However, I don't think a champion as great as Federer needs an excuse at all. And I read an article, and it hadn't even been the same one. I don't think it was an excuse. I think he was just explaining why he's had difficulty answering a question he was asked. It wasn't like, why did you lose? Oh, I think it was more of just explaining why. And let me explain because I'm a true one-handed backhand player. If you are playing against anyone, you're a right-handed player, 6.5 to 8.5 of rallies out of 10 are backhand to backhand. Okay, backhand to backhand. Now let's think about I guess you could say flaw number 1 and why Nadal's tough. Number 1, left-handed. Now at this level, should you be trained to know that? I mean, you might want to go down the line a little bit more because of the fact that you're always going to be cross-court to his forehand. Yes. So we don't want to use that as an excuse, first and foremost. He knows he's left-handed. He's played him 25, 30 times. He knows he's left-handed. So number 1, that's definitely not an excuse. It's not that he's left-handed, okay? It's what happens with the ball coming to a one-hander's backhand with heavy topspin, especially on clay, but on any surface when you hit with the amount of RPMs that Nadal hits with. Let me explain. When Nadal hits, He hits his forehand with a very rare late topspin. His Uncle Tony will tell you the same thing. His Uncle Tony will tell you, if you want to learn the good forehand, don't look at my nephew Rafael, because he hits habitually late, and he just learned it that way, and he just mastered it that way, but I wouldn't recommend it. Am I right or wrong?
Correct.
Because of that, he hits it. Now I'm going to use my right hand, okay, so I'm not whacking her in the face, but he's left-handed. When he hits it generally more beside him in a way, and if he's approaching and he's got a short ball, of course he goes out and gets it, but baseline to baseline, he meets it late a lot and follows through here. So think about the split second of time as it meets. Boom. It's got an incredible amount of torque. Now, he has mastered that shot, so when he's going forehand cross court, okay, because again, cross court is the safest shot to take, because longer court distance down the line, the net's higher, the court distance is shorter, so you're going to go, Federer's going to rip the one-hander in a neutral or back and forth point. He's going to naturally hit it cross court, right? Backhand down the line is too risky. Nadal knows this. So Nadal will hit with heavy spin when his ball bounces, whether it's short, whether it's no man's land three-quarter court, or whether it's baseline. Because of his intense torque coming off of his forehand, it bounces, jumps up. And if you are not right on ball when the ball comes off the ground and you are coming across with your one-hander, I don't have a table in my way, but the one-hander, again, the racket starts up, our hand comes away, we drop the racket head, and we want to get under the ball and go over it in a way. If it's up here, if it's high, in other words, if you're not right on ball, you're on the run trying to get there, you're left with having to reach and throw out a slice. I guess hypothetically, you could kind of hit it up, but it would be risky going high to low instead of low to high. So you end up slicing that. So you hit a risky shot down the line from a high point of impact, or you go back cross court and risk two things. You risk his forehand down the line, which is a much more statistically attainable shot, than going backhand down the line on Federer's side. So you've got an advantage here. You're going backhand to backhand, which you're going to do with a one-hander, and you're going to a lefty. That gives him the opportunity, if it's not a really good angle, to rip that forehand up the line. How many times have we seen that with these two playing? Second of all, if Federer does go up the line, then it better be a good shot, because Nadal will run it down from 12 feet behind the baseline, maybe throwing a dropper there. We've seen that, right? Right? A ton of times. Lastly, though, it doesn't matter how many times Federer tries to take plan A or plan B or plan C. If he is not moving and anticipating where Nadal is going to hit, he's going to lose every time. To Nadal on clay, I think, what's their overall record? Like 13-2?
12-3.
I mean, that's pretty respectable. Is there something Federer can do to offset that? Yes. He needs to move great. He needs to play offensively off the first ball strike, and don't let Nadal sit there and tee off either up the line or back to a backhand with heavy topspin. Whether it's short in the court or whether it's deep in the court, it's generally a high ball Federer has to hit. Now, when we hit a high ball without pressure, what happens when the ball goes back over the net, Carla? It's soft, it floats.
It's floating. Enough for you to put it away.
And Nadal knows this, so he continues that, and eventually when he gets a really good shot, if he decides to go up the line, it's a winner right there from off his forehand wing. But if he goes back cross court and finally gets a really good ball to Federer, and he sees him going up high to hit it, he's going to approach from his side, come in, cut it off for the easy volley going the other way. And that's just the way it works.
He did bring up Djokovic. Well, they have different playing styles. Djokovic is a lot more similar to...
And he hits with two hands.
And it's two hands, so he gets that ball earlier before Federer gets a chance to. Plus, it's a different style. They have different styles. Some styles don't match and some do. And Djokovic and Nadal, their styles are very similar. They're both grinders.
Yeah, they can both grind all day. And Federer gets a little impatient sometimes, especially as he is aged. I mean, look at the Wawrinka match. That should have been a 6-2, 6-2, 6-2 Federer win, and we ended up with a nail-biter going 4 sets simply because of taking some impatient shots. When he gets a little impatient, and this didn't just begin. Federer has been impatient now for a very long time. Hence, I guess the falling away of his major count. However, can you blame him? He's 37. Is it in his best interest physiologically to stay out on the court for 5 hours, or is it better just to go for it?
Yeah,
and if you lose, you lose.
Djokovic nor Nadal will be playing at 37. Just saying.
Anyway, is it ultimately an excuse though? Yes.
Yeah, we shouldn't make an excuse.
So I agree with Carteri in a way. It is an excuse because any explanation for losing, other than I lost, he was a better player, is an excuse. So I do agree with Carteri 100% in excuse making. However, it is definitely more difficult, especially on clay, if you're playing a left-hand player, number one, that doesn't hit flat and hits with heavy topspin. You play a left-hander that hits flat, okay, not a problem.
Yeah.
But when you get that bite on the ball with way more torque than any player has ever hit with,
he's got that more than any lefty player that he brought up in his comment, because he did bring up several lefty players. Nadal is something that we have not seen the way he hits spin.
His RPMs are ridiculous. They're intense. He can hit short to off his forehand wing cross court to anybody's backhand, and it can land short, and it's still going to push you back. All right, enough said with that. Great topic, by the way, but let's get right into matches from today, and they should be relatively quickly, and we'll push forward.
Okay, first match we had was Madison Keys against Ashleigh Barty. Your number 8 seed from Australia. Barty won 6-3, 7-5. I kind of expected this. I didn't think that Madison Keys would be patient enough or would be able to handle Barty's variety. I mean, she slices, she's more patient. Typical match for Barty, honestly. And typical match for Madison Keys.
Yeah, we had an opportunity to watch this match. All I'm going to say is this was a surgical match by Ashleigh Barty.
You can't just hit forehands and expect to win the match that way. And hit hard and be over with it.
Yeah, Barty was very surgical. By the way, a couple shows ago I indicated Barty was a rugby player. I meant cricket, and I knew this, and thank you. I think it was Simonovic that corrected me, I think. Anyway, but Barty surgically picked apart Madison Keys today. We've talked about Madison Keys at length for many different shows. Keys tends to have one gear, and that's wide open. Hey, all I can say is I had no idea Keys would make it to the quarterfinals whatsoever.
Yes.
I had Barty on my fantasy team, but I wouldn't have picked her for the semis, to be honest.
I mean, good for Keys for getting this far. If her game plan does not change for the next Grand Slams, she'll never win a slam, and she'll never get to another final.
Barty had a great display of her variety today. Her court conduct was absolutely splendid.
I've actually become a fan. I know you guys can remember that I didn't really like her at the Australian Open, but after watching her and seeing how patient she is, and her game is just different from everyone else, which is good to see, because a lot of girls just want to hit the ball and that's it, and they don't even think. They just hit the ball to hit the ball, and she actually has a plan out there, which is good to see.
She may very well be the French Open champion.
Yes.
She very well may be. All right? Good job for Barty. She was just she had too many tools in her toolbox.
Too many tools. Exactly.
She had too many tools in her toolbox, and when Keys' hammer went out, she pulled out her screwdriver and everything else. But Keys Keys had no variety to match up with Barty's.
Well, here's another player, same problem. Amanda Anisimova beats last year French Open's champion Simona Halep, your number 3 seed, 6-2, 6-4. Same problem. Halep is a grinder. Doesn't really have a plan. I think her plan is always to run and get to it and just hit the ball back. I think Amanda Anisimova just looked solid. She didn't grunt much, whereas Halep was grunting. She was looking for winners, ending the points quicker. But she knew she had to end the points quicker. You don't want to get into a rally with Halep because she can run everything. I love what I see from this young girl, and I think she could be a Grand Slam champion.
I still have a question mark. I don't know why. This young 17-year-old Anisimova, here she is in the semifinals of the French Open. Congratulations, first and foremost. Bravo.
And she's
bravo,
very smart. When they did her
bravo.
interview, I did like what she said. You know, even when I was up against Halep, I never thought to myself, I'm up. I always thought she can get back into this match because Halep is a fighter. And I would keep telling myself to keep going. Don't think about that you're up because you're not really up. And by the way, she speaks very well. There is no, well, no. She can interview really well. I like the way she does.
Halep, by the way, in the second set, looked like she was going to mount a comeback. I think Halep was down 4-1, and she came and brought it, or she steamrolled back and got the 4-4. And Anisimova just saved or mounted resistance and stopped the comeback. First of all, that shows a lot of maturity for a 17-year-old, okay? Here's a hypothetical question. Would you, as of right now, pick Anisimova on your fantasy team for Wimbledon?
I would, yes.
You would?
I picked her for Australian Open, and I said, you know what? She did bad at the Australian. I'm still going to pick her for the French, and I did. Absolutely, I would.
I still the reason
she's 17. She's still got time.
The reason why I think Barty will beat Anisimova.
I think Barty will beat. I don't disagree.
It's a question mark. The clay surface has an ability to neutral things down a bit. I'm not saying if you're Jen Leonard Struff, you're going to all of a sudden beat Djokovic. It's that leveling, but it brings it a little bit closer. Well, it slows it down.
Anisimova can actually hit the ball. If she plays Wimbledon, U.S. Open, her balls are going to be harder. And Barty, the same thing. So really, the clay is not really, they're kind of even on the clay. It's just that Barty's a smarter player. Has a bit more experience.
For me, watching the match this morning, we watched all these matches, but the Halep-Anisimova match, to me, I never saw Halep really get going until she
didn't get going.
And then until she was down 4-1, mounted a comeback, and then they kind of were sword fighting and dueling then, and Anisimova pulled it out. If Halep would have gotten going, in my opinion, the Halep that I know, at least again, I like Halep as a person. I'm not a huge fan of the game. But if I would have seen 100% Halep, then I think the same score would have gone the other way. Hence why I wouldn't pick Anisimova on my Wimbledon fantasy team, at least not yet. Vondrousova, I would. But Anisimova, for some reason, Vondrousova, I have...
Why? Because she's probably a 1-2-3 player. That's why.
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
Because Anisimova, she goes for her shots, and she's actually a high-risk player.
So I'm sorry Halep lost. I really am. That was the camel the stick that broke the camel's back for the tennis racket. It destroyed everybody. But we will do that again, Wimbledon, and I will put Halep on my fantasy team for Wimbledon. At least I think.
I will not. No.
I mean, she's going to guarantee you a few rounds. I mean, who would have chosen these other?
Not to win. I had Vondrousova and I had Anisimova in my bracket, but not for them going that far.
All right, real quickly, who wins between Barty and Anisimova?
Barty, their head-to-head is 0-0.
Real quickly, who wins between Kanta and Vondrousova?
Vondrousova.
All right, let's get into the men's.
Okay, your first match, I'll talk about the quicker match. Dominic Thiem takes your number 4 seed from Austria. Takes out Karen Khachanov, 6-2, 6-4, 6-2. It wasn't even a match. Should have let Porter win.
I really thought that Thiem would have been swayed because of his whole...
I told you it would have.
Off-court issue. Well, it may have, but in my opinion, I don't think... I know you call him Thor, and a lot of you guys have fun with Carla because
he is Thor.
She
I'm
calls
not the
him
only one
that.
that thinks
She
that.
thinks, she likes this guy from a looks perspective. Does anyone...
The looks, that's it. The game, I would never teach my kids to hit that forehand, ever. That is the ugliest forehand. Followed by Tiafoe. Just saying.
Can anyone tell me, though, that they honestly think that Karen Khachanov is a really, really good player?
No.
I mean, he's
just
you see
big.
what I mean?
He's just big and can hit the ball. But,
so look, he plays good doubles. He's
doubles. Where have you seen him play doubles?
Khachanov played doubles with it wasn't Pop. Who was he playing with? Mark Lopez.
But he hasn't done well in the doubles.
They won the tournament, I think.
I don't remember that.
Look it up. Look who. While she's calling me out. Look who Karen Khachanov played doubles with in Madrid. I think he played with Mark Lopez and made the final and either won or lost it there. Check it out and call me off if I'm wrong. But Thiem, a lot of us projected on our fantasy teams and on our match predictions as this tournament progressed to have Djokovic and Thiem in the semifinals and to have Federer and Nadal in the other semifinal. Poor Halep. If Halep would have won, 3 people would have been tied to win the tennis racket, and it just didn't happen. But Thiem, I think, has a shot against Novak.
He lost in a round of 16 in doubles. and then the round of 32 in doubles.
He just made a final. I watched the match.
Okay, it has all his tournaments here that he
Go to
played
the most recent one.
This is Barcelona, Monte
Go to
Carlo.
Madrid.
Monte Carlo, wouldn't that be...
There it is, right here. He made the final at the Monte Carlo.
Round of 16, Justin. He lost. Round of 16.
Okay, when did he play with Lopez again? Anyway, he made a final at one tournament.
He's not a
with
good
Mark
doubles
Lopez.
player. He wouldn't be a good doubles player. Just saying, the style is not good for doubles.
He's been playing good doubles. Someone find out what tournament Karen Kachanov went to the final on with Mark Lopez and lost. Or won. I'm not sure. And do I have it wrong? I mean, geez, I'm a human. I make mistakes. But dang, see, she gonna slap me with a sandal when I
How
get
are
off
you
the
going to
thing.
say a guy that big with that type of forehand, that type of game is going to be a good doubles player?
He's been playing good doubles.
Okay. You mean round of 32 in a small tournament? Come on.
He's been playing good doubles. I watched the match.
Anyways. Okay. Next
Jeez,
match.
man, this
Next
thing,
match.
What are you doing?
Novak Djokovic destroys, as we all knew, Alexander Zverev. Zverev actually had a chance. He was serving for the first set at 5-4. Guess what? He gets broken. And then after that, all chaos happens for him. 6-2, 6-2. It happened so quick that he probably turned. Typical Zverev. Didn't even give Djokovic a sweat. I was hoping he would take him to 4 sets. Did not happen. Well, maybe Thiem will have a better chance. Their head-to-head is 6-2. Thiem has beaten him at the French Open in 2017 in straight sets, and then in 2018 in Monte Carlo. Thiem, can you at least take a set away from him so when he makes it to the final, whoever wins, Rafael, Federer, has a better chance?
Didn't Thiem beat Djokovic at the French Open before?
2017.
There you go. And I think it was pretty...
Come on, let's make it more interesting. This is too predictable.
All right, here we go. There's another match again. We watched these matches. When this match started, little Sasha or Alexander Zverev, he came out popping. He was like, he came out of the gate like a racehorse.
Broke him in the beginning.
Speaking of racehorses, we'll have a topic about racehorses in a minute. But Zverev came out of the gates going. Up a break, looked good. Only a very few unforced errors. He got up a break, was serving for the first set. Broken back. Loses the first set. Faded away.
3-0 in the second set.
Faded away.
I don't even talk about this.
Yeah, anyway, we've already spent enough time on this match. We saw what we expected to see. Not in the first set. I was impressed that Zverev put up a fighting chance and was serving for the first
Even
set.
Djokovic, when he shook his hand, was like, too bad, man.
Too bad, bro.
Bad day for you.
Yeah.
Bad day for you.
Look,
You can see it.
I wish the best for the young Zverev. I really do. I
He's
really
20
do.
through 23. Time goes by quickly. Before you know it, you'll be 28, 29 at the end of your career.
All right, enough said.
Well,
with
let me say
Zverev.
a few things. Men's doubles. This veteran from France, Jeremy Chardy, will be playing in the finals with Fabrice Martin from France. Will be playing against the 2 Germans, Kevin Krajewicz and Andreas Mayes. So good for Jeremy Chardy for being in the finals.
Yeah, and also good for Nicolas Mahut, who I didn't see. Carlos shared an article with me that his son, right? His son came out.
7-year-old son.
7-year-old son came out on the court after having lost to Leonardo Meyer. Gave him a hug. I was like a tearjerker.
That's the second time he does
Yeah,
that.
we've got kids. I could have only imagined being. I don't care if it was the first round and one of my boys coming out and be like, "I love you, Daddy. I love you." I'd be like, "Meh." So I get it, man. That was awesome.
It was.
It's a feel good moment. Let's go.
Yes. On to the women's doubles. Arina Sabalenka, she is playing in the semifinals with Elise Mertens against Mladenovic and Babos. So maybe her doubles career is taking over. And the other semifinal is Johanna Larsson and Christine Flipkins, the veterans, against Saisa Zhang and Duan Ying from China. So,
Well,
maybe Sabalenka will win a French Open doubles, women's doubles.
Sabalenka has been beast mode in doubles.
Yeah, maybe doubles is her thing.
Yeah, double thumbs down on the single
Get
side.
rid of
though.
the coach. You want to be good in singles.
All right, who wins the semi-final matchup between Novak Djokovic and Dominic Thiem?
I mean, I'll say 4 sets, Djokovic.
Who wins the semi-final matchup between Roger Federer and Rafael Nadal?
If Rafael Nadal feels like being nice, I'll say 4 sets.
All right. We're getting down. We went from 128 players times 2 to 8.
And you ready to get up early in the morning to watch these matches?
Yes. Is anybody getting up super early no matter
4
where?
a.m. for us here, Central
I'll
Time.
be there. Let's go. Let's go, Roger. Come on, Roger. Let's go. All right. Moving forward to one of our last topics before we do 12 rapid-fire questions. I have a topic that involves something I just mentioned, and that was horse racing.
Yes.
Okay? Horse racing, yes, where a jockey gets on a horse and rides a horse. So I think we have always been very fond of horse racing. The horses and the athleticism of the horses and the jockeys that sleep and talk to them and so forth, until we saw a show last night on HBO about the dark side of horse racing. I'm only going to bring this up for a second because, again, this is positive. I don't want to get into some really horrible type thought.
I cried when I saw this.
But yeah,
actually, I hope that after watching the show, they ban this sport from the United States.
So yeah, we were flipping through from going from tennis to taking notes, etc., and I saw horses, and because I love horses. When I was in Southern California, I was raised around a lot of horses, at least in the backyard from neighbors and stuff. I've always loved horses, and I see jockeys, so I stop. And I realized it's a show, a documentary, HBO Real Sports, I think, Bryant Gumbel or something like that.
Yes.
Where they would show these racetracks, and if the horse broke a leg or if the horse wasn't running as fast as it used to be, they would throw them on this slaughterhouse trailer and just ship them off to be butchered for their meat to be sold elsewhere where it was legal. I was kind of like I was sickened in a way. At the same time, I was like teardropping, wish that maybe I had like a huge yard with big fences and I could have 1 million horses back there, but obviously that's not the case. But has anyone heard of this?
Well, apparently this does not happen in Europe. In Europe, it's illegal to pump drugs into the racing horses. If they are injured, they're not allowed to race them. None of that happens. There are no killings like this. They're not allowed to be sent to slaughter homes. Nothing. So in Europe, they're doing great. But in the United States, of course, they're pumping the horses with drugs, and then when they're no use anymore, they sell them cheap in the auctions, and they get slaughtered for meat.
That's right. I forgot about that. Yeah. So it was like a comparison between horse racing in Europe and or elsewhere, and then horse racing in the U.S. And yes, they were saying that it's an average of like 30 to 60 horses a year are killed or euthanized at respective tracks because they're being pumped up with like steroids and painkillers. So
30 to 60 a year? You mean thousands?
Well, it was like there was like 20 tracks or 50 tracks or 100 tracks, and there was an average of 30 to 50 horses at each track.
Yes.
So yes, it made thousands of horses.
Not only that, the American horses are bigger because they get pumped with steroids.
Because they get pumped up with drugs.
Where in Europe they do not, but they have no problems, no issues.
Yeah, I've never heard of the dark side of horse racing. I thought it was a really nice primrose path, and these horses were pet. And hey, I love you. Let me get you a carrot. Here's an apple. Here's an apple, buddy. You're so cute. Let me give you a pet. Here's a carrot. Here's a carrot. Now go chase the thing. Come on around. Here's a carrot. And then they go out to pasture and relax with their bros when their racing career is over. I had no clue whatsoever that when they couldn't run, they had bolts stuck through their head, and their legs were cut off, and their hooves sold for tallow fat. No clue. Anyone heard of that one? Anyway, moving forward.
It just shows you, though, you bring up the horses, but there's more things than horses. This is why in Europe a lot of the things are a lot better. And I hate to say that because I'm in the United States. We pump our horses with drugs and the food we eat. But yeah, we don't do that in other countries.
Yeah, I don't know. That one really kind of set me away from cheering for my favorite horse.
I will never do that. I will never watch another horse race.
I'm just hoping that next time I watch the Kentucky Derby, the winner just, or no, not the winner. I think the winner is cherished, but the second place guy through the other 11 or however many horses there are, I just hope they survive the trip home. Jeez. All right, that's enough of that. All right, moving forward to a positive note. We are going to get into 12 rapid-fire questions. If you are new to this channel, we are going to ask Carla and all of you 12 questions, and they will be done rapidly. You must answer them quickly without thought, right off the top of the head. If you dwell on it too much, you must go to the next question, and we do read your answers, and when we get them, we go down the list and read your answers as you submit them. All right? Carla, you ready?
Yes.
Everyone, you ready? Carla, you must look at the camera. You must not look at my notes, and you must answer quickly. Are you ready?
I feel like I'm in Jeopardy. Okay.
Rapid fire question number 1. Has your mind changed about the joys of horse racing?
Oh, definitely. Yes.
Question number 2. Does Dominic Thiem have a shot versus Novak Djokovic?
Yes.
Okay. Question number 3. What is the final set score for the Roger Federer Rafael Nadal match, and who wins?
6-2 Nadal.
The whole set.
You mean the whole match? Okay, I'll say 6-4 4-6, 6-2, 6-2.
I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to take Roger Federer winning 7-6, 2-6, 6-4, 2-6, 6-4. Let's go, Federer. Come on. Fed Express, baby. The Fed Express.
I wouldn't mind if Nadal lost.
Question.
But I think Nadal has a better chance of beating Djokovic than Federer does Djokovic. So.
Well, if Roger goes 2 for 17 in break points again like he did against Wawrinka, this match will be over before it starts. And if he uses his high backhand again as an excuse, then it just got old. He just needs to be aggressive, go for it. If he loses, he loses. He'll either win in 5 or lose real quickly.
Here's a tip. Attack Nadal's backhand.
Yeah, do something. All right, question number 4. Will you think about putting Johanna Konta on your fantasy team for Wimbledon now?
You asked me before, and I'll say the same answer, do.
Question number 5. On a scale of 1 to 10, how good of a player is Karen Khachanov really? A 1 being the level of a current Bernard Tomic, and a 10 being the current level of Novak Djokovic.
6.
I had the same answer. Number 6. Should Eugenie Bouchard stop playing professional tennis?
Absolutely.
Not tennis. Tennis you can play forever, and it's a wonderful sport of friends and fitness and friendships and all that stuff. But should she stop playing professional tennis?
She's a waste of ranking space. Yes.
Question number 7. Draw space. She's wasted draw space.
Ranking.
Maybe.
Ranking.
I think she should play forever, though. Question number 7. The Toronto Raptors went up 2-1 over the Golden State Warriors last night. Who wins this NBA Finals?
I still think the Warriors, but I'm going to root for the Raptors.
I'm still going with the Warriors in 6.
Yeah.
Question number 8. The first thing you look for when you get up in the morning is what?
Coffee.
My glasses. My glasses.
Coffee. I come downstairs, start the coffee.
Glasses for
Then
me.
I go upstairs and look at my kids. Then I go back upstairs, and then I know you're sleeping, so I'm not bugging you. I'll check on you
Except this morning, I got up at 3:30 to film a thunderstorm.
Yeah.
Question number 9. This is a scenario question. Imagine yourself in this scenario. Got to think fast. Here we go. It is dark outside. You are taking something to the garbage, and behind you, a ravenous dog appears and is growling at you. What do?
I growl back, and I'm ready to fight. Just saying.
I think I look for the closest tree and get up that bad boy.
Not me. I've heard that if you show no fear, they won't attack, and I'll be ready. If it comes for me, I'm going to be ready to grab its mouth and go.
Or like find the closest log, like find the closest brick.
We won't have time to find the closest log.
But dogs, they get up and like get on your arm and start.
Well, then that's when you got to try to rip their jaws or something.
They'll be ripping flesh.
Okay, well you got to kick, punch. I don't know.
Kick. He'll be latched onto your leg, lockjaw.
Well, then bang it on the floor as it's biting.
You'll be like, get down, get off, get off, get
Or
off.
why are we talking about this?
All right. Question number 10. That was funny. Question number 10. To win a major tournament, a player must win 7 matches. How many matches can we expect Juan Martín del Potro to win at Wimbledon?
Maybe 4 or 5.
I had 4 as well. We're on the same number sheet. What's up? Question number 11. Now that clay season is ending, does the beautiful beard Fabio Fognini go deep in any future big tournament this year unless it's clay? And I mean deep, second week if it's a major, or quarterfinals if it's a 1,000.
You won't see him in grass. Nope.
Question number 12. Honest question, be honest. Are you glad clay season is ending?
Yes.
All right. I wish time would just slow down because, man, every day I feel older. At 41, my knees hurt, my ankles hurt. It's like I want to go out and play every day, and I do, but, man, I just wish I could recuperate.
Aren't you glad we got some rain? I got to recover my shoulder.
Yeah. We did play a set the other day, and I won that set 7-5. Just saying.
7-6. It was a tiebreaker.
We didn't go to a tiebreaker. You always beat me in tiebreakers. That's how I know.
Oh, okay.
7-5.
Yes, you're right. You're right. I always beat him in tiebreakers.
I'm right this time.
Yes.
It was a fun match nonetheless. Okay, bonus round, and there's 3 quick ones. Are you ready? 3 quick bonus ones. Are you ready? Bonus question number 1. Be honest. Be honest.
Okay. No, I'm not going to be honest.
If you come across a bug on your kitchen floor, do you squash it or save it?
Depending what bug it is.
So you're anti-bug. If it's a roach, you kill it.
If it's a roach, it's dead. Yes.
And if it's a fly, you set it free.
It's dead, too.
I think that's anti-bug asceticism. Should make a book about that. Bestseller. What bugs do you segregate?
Usually, though, if we see a roach, we run.
Number 2. Bonus question number 2. Be honest. What was your favorite board game as a child?
Oh, Monopoly, hands down.
Mine was Battleship or Risk. Let's go.
Yeah.
Bonus question and final question number 3. Was Novak Djokovic's draw so easy, or is he just that good?
It was so easy, but he's just that good too.
A little bit of both.
Both, yeah.
All right, we're going to end the show with, as usual, a thought or quote of the day. And this quote of the day comes from one of my favorite jazz musicians, jazz singers of all time. I know we have a sister, the Queen, that watches our show, but this young lady is the Queen herself, and that is Ella Fitzgerald. I'm a big jazz fan. Love jazz. Used to spend some time very early in the morning listening to jazz playing different places as I was doing some hip-hop music as a young boy. The jazz places would always be the latest place open. So the sun would be coming up and we'd be like listening to jazz, and some of it was really, really, really deep. And a lot of it was covers from Ella Fitzgerald. Here's a quote from her, respectively. Quote, "Just don't give up trying to do what you really want to do. Where there is love and inspiration, I don't think you can go wrong." Let me repeat that. Just don't give up trying to do what you really want to do. Where there is love and inspiration, I don't think you can go wrong. By Ella Fitzgerald, the Queen of Jazz herself. This is an example that I thought would be really good for Carla and I today to end this show. She says, don't give up what you really want to do. Carla and I, since we've known each other and long before that, have always wanted to do tennis as a way of, I guess you could say, life work. I don't like to say success because what is the definition? Money isn't everything to us because, believe me, we struggle. But tennis is what we really want to do, right? We really want to do it, whether it's coach it, teach it to our kids, share it with you, which has jumped up on the same level as playing it or sharing it with our kids. We enjoy this. So there's love. We want to do it. There's love for it. We have passion for it. Furthermore, doing this show with her, it's really a pleasure. You can see that. It's a pleasure, right? Let's go. Let's go. Muy bonita mamacita. Muy bonita mamacita. Let's go. Andale. All right.
Stop.
All right. But furthermore, as every day passes, we find that carrying on our days, conversating in a positive way, tennis with you all is love as well. As always, much love to all of you. What I'm getting at is I don't think we can go wrong here because we all enjoy it and we keep the negativity out. So I don't see how we can go wrong, right? You agree?
Yeah.
I think the question was a minute ago, what do we first look for when we wake up? Me, glasses. 2, wondering if we've had people from different parts of the world saying, what's going on in the 5K tennis world? How did you like this match? Blah, 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 blah. It becomes fun to wake up to see it.
Yeah,
So,
and I have quite a few of you that send me messages as matches are going. I think I had Wayne Mchia, Rahesh,
Ethan Da,
B-Dog02. I had
Kane.
And then I had Wildlife.
B-Dog02. What's up, Bobby? What's up,
Twitter,
B-Dog02, Sister the Queen.
I have quite a few of you. Casper sends me a lot of messages, so there's quite a few.
And yeah, the list goes on. But
Yeah.
again, how can we go wrong simply staying positive and doing what we love to do, which now involves all of you. So much love, everyone. That's it. See you guys tomorrow. Hopefully you guys will get up early with us to watch the Federer Nadal match, and hopefully it's not too quick. But we wish both athletes the best, and as well for Thiem and Djokovic and Vondrousova and Konta and Barty and Anisimova.
And the boys come back tomorrow.
Yeah, and 2 of our 5 kids come back tomorrow, so we'll have our videographer, camera operator back tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's it, everyone. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. We will see you tomorrow, and as Carl always says,
Au revoir.
adios.
Good catch.
You like that?